Donald Jeffries. Donald Jeffries. Author of Hidden History and Survival of the Richest. Host of The Donald Jeffries Show. Billy Ray Valentine. Billy Ray Valentine. Host of the Infinite Fringe podcast. Researcher, truth seeker from the Bronx, New York. Tony Arterburn. Tony Arterburn. Radio host, combat veteran, precious metals analyst, and alt historian. Together, they take on the headlines of the week, decode the disinformation, and plow through the mainstream propaganda. Unauthorized, unscripted, and unintimidated. This is America Unplugged.
Hello, everybody. What's going on? Greetings and blessings. The War on Reality Report. I'm Billy Ray Valentine, and I'm joined by the usual suspects right here on America Unplugged. Tony Arterburn, the wisest of all the wolves. Tell the people what's up, sir.
It's good to see you and Don again. I'm back in Denison, Texas. I was out in California last week, and today in downtown Denison, it's Doc Holidays. So it's a festival because Doc Holliday had a home here. I think he was a dentist. You know, that's the Val Kilmer played him in Tombstone. Really interesting stuff. I'm going to go to the Say When Brewery later, I think.
Very cool. I'm your Huckleberry.
Yes. I'm in my prime.
I don't know. I'm in my prime. I say that all the time.
I'm in my prime.
When somebody asks me, you know, oh, you're getting old. Whatever. I'm in my prime. And that's from Tombstone, of course. Yeah. But my favorite line, and I try to say, I always botch it because I always botch these lines. But I whenever somebody comes up that it's me trying to poke fun at people, but that seems somewhat educated. I'm like, oh, he speaks Latin. Now I really hate him. Clearly, he's an educated man. Now I really hate him. You know,
reminds me of me.
Yes, reminds me. He did a great. What a role, right? I mean, what a movie. Yeah. That's one of the movies that if I'm sitting on my couch and it just so happens to be on, I'm leaving it on. You know, there's certain movies that I do that with, like Trading Places, of course, you know, Coming to America, Tombstone, both the Conans, Conan the Barbarian and Conan the Destroyer. You know, I just leave them on, you know. There's others. The Prestige, which is probably my favorite movie of all time. Lord of the Rings, things like that. I'll just leave them on or whatever. So, but Tombstone is one of those that I just leave on. And Wyatt Earp. I learned about all of these people through that movie and went back and researched how much of this was true, how much of it wasn't true. And I don't know, it was just dope. You know, I love that movie. So cheers to Val Kilmer, to Doc Holliday. And what, he died today or he was born today? What was it, Tony?
I have to look at the reference, but it is the Doc Holidays in Denison, Texas. I'll find while you're doing the show. That's a good question. I wonder if it's a birthday or something commemorating that.
It's fantastic. Did you learn how to levitate? Because I heard that's what you were doing, and I was very upset because you need to let me have something here.
Well, see, you have a system, and I recognize that. I talk about it when you're gone. I know you got a system. You're selling that system. You know, I have to do my own thing. You even said that I take what you do and improve upon it. I'm kind of like the Japanese to the American manufacturing. I just take whatever you've done and created it, and I make it a little bit better. So I've got a new system, and I'll be advertising that soon. Levitate with Tony.
That's
.gold.
Fantastic. Don Jeffries, the legendary. How are you, sir? Say hello to the people.
Good to be here with you. Val Kilmer, as Chris Buchan points out, just died a week ago. So I liked him. He was one of my favorites. He wasn't in enough movies. He had kind of a sad life. You know, he aged very badly, and I think he'd been sick for a while. You know, but in his prime, he was good, man. He was a good Batman. He was the best thing about Batman forever, I think.
And like
much better than George Clooney.
Yes, better than George Clooney. Michael Keaton's my favorite Batman. You know,
that was a better movie. Yeah.
I don't. Even though what's his face from the newer movies was okay, I guess. I never bought him.
I think
But,
Christian.
Christian Bale, right? Exactly.
Christian Bale, yeah.
Christopher Nolan cast him in everything. So
yeah.
All right. Let's talk about some stuff. Here we go. Virginia Roberts Giuffre. God bless her. She's passed away. She's committed suicide. According to reports, we really don't know what the deal is because we were talking backstage, and Tony mentioned that about not a week ago. It's been 2-3 weeks maybe. I don't
beginning of the month, yeah.
Right, that there were reports that she was in some fatal car accident she was within days of passing away. And then that never happened, and it turned out that she was, I don't know if I want to say lying, but it was untrue. Whatever was said wasn't true, and she got beat up by someone is what I heard. I don't even know if that's true, and then it kind of faded away. And now we wake up this morning. Brissom told me this morning. I had no idea, but Don was already on top of it, and so was Tony. She's passed away. And all sorts of conspiracy theories are popping up as a result of it, which is natural at this point, right? What are you going to think with her and what she knew, and the lack of the release of the Epstein files, all of this stuff. Let's talk about it a little bit. Let's see where we go. We're also going to talk about Donald Trump trying to, as said on this show, before the election and the day of the election and the day after the election, that he was going to try to run for a third term or try to stay for a third term. And that's happening. And it's only been 4 months or 3 months or something. I don't know. But now we're getting clarity on it. They're getting more and more bold as to what they want to do. Steve Bannon has actually gone ahead and said publicly that they want to take over the Vatican. They're sending Jack Posobiec down there, and they want to put in a pope that's more sympathetic is not even the right word. That is MAGA. They want to put in a MAGA pope. That they will go after the Catholic Church and reveal all the secrets and all this other stuff. This is and they're dead serious about it, by the way. So look out for that. Let's see what develops. So we'll talk a little bit about Donald Trump running for another term and whatever pops up in the interim. All right. Tony Arterburn, what's going on? Virginia Roberts Gouffre, God bless her, right? We've been talking about her for quite some time in this bubble that we live in the alternative bubble, because of the key role she played with Jeffrey Epstein and being a witness, and a whistleblower. I don't know if you want to call her a whistleblower. I don't know if that's the appropriate term to use, but you know what I'm talking about. She had a lot of information on Mr. Epstein. And now she's passed away, 40 years old, 41. God bless her.
And Prince Andrew and many others.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Tom.
Well, I thought of Don when the headline came out for his title of his last book, of The American Memory Hole. And Don and I are going to be doing a show on that tomorrow. That's what I first thought of, because when I went to look at the articles, because I was a little confused. I follow the news, pretty steady. I do a regular radio show, so I have to be somewhat up to date on the headlines. And none of the articles that I read mentioned that just a few weeks ago, she said she was dying and that she had a few days to live, and that she was she was in a bus accident or something like that. It was a jumbled mix of, what you're supposed to find. I was either a car accident or a bus accident. She has days to live, and I couldn't find any. I thought that was really odd. So you have to ask yourself, what was leaked here? Was this like to make her look insane, or that she was not put together? Whatever that it was, but that headline dropped 3 weeks ago, and now you have this headline. And apparently, if I'm following the headlines and reading now, that had nothing to do with this. So she just took her own life, right? I mean, again, it's bizarre. I don't think that I don't know that there's truth in either one of the headlines. But she did massive damage with her testimony, her courage, and it's a really, really sad turn of events. So I'm not sure exactly what we're looking at here, Billy. But I don't know that we're seeing anything close to the truth. So I'd like to understand what that original headline was and where it came from.
Right. I mean, it was all over the mainstream. It was all over the mainstream. I think it was on Drudge, that she was close to death, and she was the one that said she was close to death. She was like, I have 4 days to live, 5 days to live.
Yes.
And turned out not to be true. And that's what makes it so freaking bizarre. Sometimes I wish some of these things didn't go down, right? So we could have a clear-cut explanation of what happened, but we can't ignore that, right? That would be foolish. Then we have to start thinking about how much of this stuff is put out there just for us to follow. I think it's worth investigating. Something's clearly up. Anyway, Don Jeffries, what's going on?
Yeah, no, I've been in the story. My friend Peter Seacosh, great researcher. He's looking into this and sending me stuff on it. But that story, and it came out of April 1st, so people maybe thought it was an April Fool's joke. But she said she had, very dramatically, she had 4 days to live. But a photo accompanied it. It looked like somebody beat the hell out of her. She looked like a classic, abused woman. She had, a black eye, bruises all over her face. So I don't know what that came from, because then it would come out that the school bus driver said they didn't even, I don't even know if he filed a report, because nobody was injured. So who knows what happened? And that was a very strange thing. She was, I think, in a divorce with her husband and her 3 kids. She hadn't seen them. But when you get involved in these things, and when you come up with something like the allegation she made, I mean, she had run-ins with Alan Dershowitz as well, who's a real nasty guy, and countersued her. And you know who was going to win that lawsuit? And she ended up dropping that and saying maybe she was mistaken. And then I found quotes from Jeffrey Epstein's receptionist that was the first one to report him to the authorities, that talked about how brave she was, and how, and this was before she allegedly killed herself, and how she very much feared for her safety, and how dangerous Dershowitz was. So she was running with some real, and she is, I just never get tired of researching and talking about the irony of just sometimes you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. Virginia Jeffrey was a very cute teenager. She had the unfortunate luck of having a cute teenager that was discovered by somebody powerful, and they liked her look. And they moved her in, and she's got more evidence than that crazy E. Jean Carroll had against Donald Trump. She's got a photo of Prince Andrew with his arm around her, and Ghislaine Maxwell smiling in the background. But it's terrible, because this is, she got some kind of a settlement, but apparently her family broke up, as happens in most of these cases. They don't want to deal with, they don't want to deal with having to go have their lives. I'm sure their lives were uprooted. And maybe she was driven. I don't blame her, I guess, for being driven crazy with what she went through. But it's just a shame. And in 2019, she left a tweet that was haunting and very similar to what Deborah Jean Palfrey, the DC madam, told Alex Jones when she was on the show, that I'll never kill myself. Don't believe that. And that's exactly what she tweeted out. Don't believe it if I kill myself. I wouldn't do it. There are people that wanted me quieted, is the way very powerful people. So I think they got to her, obviously. And I don't know what was coming down the pike after it, but I've got to look in my notes. But I think there's at least 1 or 2 other of the girls that died. One of them fell out of a building, that was Epstein's accusers. And this happens. If people have read my books, know the body count is very long for these things. And it tends to, so, this is all amazing coincidence or whatever. But unfortunately, I think the Epstein list, maybe this is the exclamation point on the Epstein list that we still haven't seen. Maybe somebody, and maybe Pam Bondi will comment about this, because she's been on top of this. We know. I mean, she's issued I don't know how many things where she was about to do this and about to do that. So, hey, Pam, Virginia Jeffrey's dead now. She was the most vocal accuser of Epstein. Think you might want to look into that? Why don't you look into that after she said she'd never do it? But I think this is going to be a case, just like after Deborah Jean Palfrey, for those who don't remember, the DC madam, she had a little black book that supposedly contained the names of all the bigwigs in Washington, all these elite people that had visited her, whorehouse, basically. And before she died, one of her prostitutes, I think her name was Bambi, Hollywoodish, but was found hanged in a shed or something. Damn. And that obviously scared her. And then she went on Alex Jones and said, "Hey, I would never do this," and didn't stop the elite. Sure enough, she killed herself like a week later or something like that. And I never heard anything else about her black book. Where did it go? Where was it? Just like you did, Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted of trafficking minors to who? Nobody. Ghislaine Maxwell could have had her sentence reduced, and she still wouldn't name names. And there's a guy, I got it in my notes somewhere too, some other guy that's associated in some way with her that supposedly killed himself in prison. And her family was concerned about her because of that. So these people don't play. And it's a shame, because unfortunately, I think the Epstein list is going to be the same place where, the DC madam's black book is. Nowhere to be found. Or Anthony Weiner's laptop. Hunter Biden's laptop, all these things that supposedly have all this great stuff on it. We never see them. They just go into that memory hole. That's why I call my book American Memory Hole. No more is heard from them. There's lots of dead people along the way that die, and everybody just kind of shrugs. I mean, is there anybody in the world that thinks Jeffrey Epstein killed himself? I mean, the mainstream media joked about it. You had people photobombing it.
That he killed himself. Ben
Who's
Shapiro.
that?
He killed himself.
Well, yeah, Ben Shapiro probably does. But, Ben Shapiro and the New York Times, right? That's about it. But but it doesn't matter. The people that officially investigated it claim he did, and that's all that counts. And so, it's just sad because you can't. And one of the statements I found was her legal team said something like, when she was originally suing Prince Andrew, who she settled out of court with, hopefully she got a good amount of money. But they said something like, presidents and princes aren't, no one, including presidents and princes, are above the law. And as I wrote in Substack, unfortunately, presidents and princes and Alan Dershowitz, all these people, they are most definitely above the law. And I think we found that out in this case. So those of us are so, but maybe this, I did read some Republicans, some comments from a few of Billy's favorites, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz. They both came out, and Mike Lee, all three both said, hey, she obviously didn't kill herself. So will they investigate things like they're supposedly investigating? I'm still waiting for them to investigate anything. And they had one hearing on JFK, but or two maybe. But so we'll see. I hope that they talk more about it. He said, Virginia got wealth. Well, I don't know how wealthy she got, but that's true. But she apparently got whacked off eventually too. So, but yeah, she was living on an Australian farm. She got some kind of a settlement, but unfortunately, she didn't get to enjoy it for very long.
That was Mr. Brisson, and he maintains that Giuffre was covering up the Trump involvement with Epstein. He knows all about that. Maybe Sunday night I'll get him to talk about it. I probably can't get him to shut up about it, actually. So,
well, she had become a Donald Trump supporter, oddly.
Right. But there's Maria Farmer, who is still up, right. I mean, she needs to. She needs to issue a statement. Right. She'll never kill herself. Too, I mean, she needs to do something, But she's the one that has the most that I know of. That she had the most damning evidence against Trump, and with Epstein involvement. I don't know what's going on with Virginia Roberts Giuffre. I know that she was a very troubled woman. I know she was very depressed. I could believe that she killed herself. I could believe that. But there's also all these other narratives that can't be ignored. And I can believe that the real deep state, the actual deep state, could have killed her, right? Like, I mean, why would you say that that's not possible? Because it absolutely is. She had everything to lose and apparently absolutely nothing to gain, right? So God bless her. May she rest in peace. We'll never find out the truth about this Epstein stuff until, maybe 50 years from now or 60 years from now, when we get the new Trump that's going to reveal everything. We'll get some leaks of some documents or something that'll have some type of information, and we still won't know what.
I mean, where's Sandy Berger when you need him? I mean, just get into the archives and stuff it down your pants.
Chris Buchan says that he changed it. The two of Epstein's alleged kids, they saw him change to a lizard, so he was a lizard person. So that's probably sense. That's
what happened.
I just put that up there. Two of Epstein's alleged victims claim they saw him turn into a lizard in front of them on at least one or two occasions. Somebody called David Icke. See about that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
David Icke probably wouldn't be interested because she supported Trump, and he's got a pretty bad pace at TDS, David. He's lost a lot of his fans, unfortunately. I read this stuff on Twitter, and they're all saying, "What are you doing there?" Because he's just obsessed, man.
I disagree with a lot of what David Icke has put out now, and I used to. That was my guy. He's still kind of my guy.
Yeah,
regardless. Right. I want to come out and publicly say that TDS is a fucking myth. It does not exist. Okay, it is called the truth, and if you have a visceral reaction to evil, there's nothing wrong with that. Keep doing it, David. Keep doing it. All right,
I'm with you. See him this year. I'm going to go over to England and see David Icke. I got an
Are you really?
Mhm.
Oh, are you? Wow.
Yeah,
What are you gonna do?
with Gareth. And when I was at Anarchapulco, I bid on a chance to meet David, and then I was with Gareth and said, let's turn it into a podcast or something. So
When is this?
More announcements soon. I haven't scheduled it yet.
How come I didn't know about this, Tony?
Wow, cool.
What's going on here?
I think I told you, didn't I?
No,
Did we
absolutely
not
not.
go over this?
I would have remembered something like that. I've met David Icke twice, but I'd love to meet him again. And I've never been overseas. So you need to take me with you.
Mm.
Okay.
There's no debate, no discussion to be had. I'm kidding, Tony. If you want to take me with you, I'd be more than happy to go.
No, I
That
love
sounds
that.
like a good time.
That's why
And
we all three
we
should
can meet
go.
Devlin out there, man, and Neil. I don't know if Neil would come. We'd have to meet. I'd have to meet Neil somewhere else. I don't know if Neil would come to an Iconic get together. But I'd love to meet Neil. But anyway, that sounds like a plan, bro. I want to hook myself onto it.
Do it.
All right. So there's that. Look for more, right? Sunday we will go live either at 7 p.m. I got to work that out with Tony, or 8. Not sure. My show on Ground Zero is at 7 p.m. So I'm not sure what's going to happen this week, but moving forward, it'll be something else or whatever. All right. So we got that down. Let's talk about the dude, Mr. Donald Trump. I mean, really, tell me I have TDS. I don't understand how anybody still supports this guy. I didn't understand it for the 2020 election or the 2024 election. Didn't get it. I understand 2016. I get that. But all the other ones I didn't get it. But at this point, I don't know. It's brainwashing, ignorance, or the other one that I don't want to say, plain stupidity. You pick. But there's no reason to continue to back this guy. But here he goes. Well, not him per se. This is Steve Bannon, but he's done it too. He is selling merchandise right now on his. If you don't believe me, go on his website. He is selling merchandise Trump 2028. So this is either saying I'm going to run or it's a grift. Either way, it's not good. Might be both. I subscribe to that. So Steve Bannon, whom I have said that people need to start paying close attention to. If people were paying attention to this guy from the beginning, maybe we wouldn't be where we are now. But he went on with Bill Maher. And I'm going to play this for you. If for whatever reason you can't hear it, please let me know. And then we'll go around the horn and get thoughts. And we can't hear it. Sorry.
Can I read a passage to you?
I'm going to take it back.
The Constitution. Can I read a passage to you? Amendment 22. No person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. And yet you keep talking about Trump's. Maybe you should have this. Here, just put this.
I'll get you to sign it backstage and underline.
I
Look,
will.
President Trump didn't bring up running for a third term. Myself and others brought up running for a third term. President Trump is going to run for a third term, and President Trump is going to be elected again on the afternoon of January 20th of 2029. He's going to be president of the United States.
Okay, but the thing I just read in there, it seemed like there was no wriggle room there. It seemed like it was just, 8 or 10 words that said only 2 times.
We have a team of people that are working. A team.
How can a team do something about that? What? I don't care if the team is 12 trillion people. The words are still the words.
Bill, every day in federal courts, right now in federal courts, there's 120 lawsuits on what President Trump's doing for his Article 2 rights on the unified executive theory. But he's chief executive, he's commander in chief, and he's chief magistrate and chief law enforcement officer. There's 100, and they're running to court every day to sue President Trump, all because the interpretation of this. The interpretation of this is open for interpretation.
How should it be open? Could I have it back? How could it? I'm sorry to be. No person, you would agree he's a person. Okay, shall be elected. He was elected to the office. That's the office of the president more than twice. Twice is once and then another time. I don't see what the team is finding.
Okay,
I will disagree.
Listen, Bill, in 2014, you're talking about long odds, in 2014.
So he goes on to say that, they've overcome bigger odds in the past than they have. Well, a couple of things with this clip. They're serious. Before it was, oh, he's joking. They're joking about this. He doesn't really mean it. It's like Project 2025. It's not a thing. You know, and when they said, oh, now we can tell him it is a thing. Oh, Steve Bannon is joking. It's not a thing. They're not joking, guys. This is for real, right? Additionally, Steve Bannon says something that is key. Is the interpretation of this document. This is what they do. They've been doing it for years now. And us here in the alternative media who want to subscribe to this nonsense go along with it. They take words and play semantics with those words. They look for loopholes that they can make up. It is pseudo law. It is not real law. And this is why they get shut down in the courts time and time again, because people who can actually interpret the law say that this is nonsense. They don't care. It's win at all cost. This is what Steve Bannon has said many, many times. Win at all costs, do it at all costs. It is psychological warfare that they are waging upon you. And you don't have to be sitting down in some black site with a freaking clock in front of you going ding, ding to get brainwashed. This is how they do it. And they've been doing it effectively since before 2016. Steve Bannon is a master. And he's gone as far as to admit this on his podcast. That's why I listen. I don't listen every day anymore because I just can't freaking do it, guys. I can't. There's a limit of the nonsense that I can take. But I try to tune in and listen to what he's saying, because you need to know your enemy. You need to know where they're coming from. You need to know what they're doing. This is what they're doing. And they're going to tell you that it is constitutional and rightful that Donald Trump seek another term for the presidency. They are going to make an argument for it. And if you want to accept it, you're going to. But in reality, there is no way around it. They're also going to box out Barack Obama from running, because everybody's saying, well, if Trump could run for a third term, that means Obama can run for a third term. Not so fast, guys. Not so fast. What they're saying is that only a person that hasn't served consecutive terms is going to be eligible to run again. That's the pseudo loophole that they're using, which is nonsense. It doesn't exist. But they're using it. They're going to say it, and that's how they're going to move forward with this. That would X out Barack Obama because he served consecutive terms as a president. It would only leave Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Who do you think is going to win that? If this is even a thing, I don't even think that it's going to make an election. If he seeks to stay, he's going to declare martial law, just like freaking in not exactly the same way, but they tried to pull this off in South Korea. Bukele did something very similar with a state of emergency. And of course, Viktor Orban. These are the blueprints that are being followed by the Trump administration in order to get where they need to get. The only difference is we're fucking Americans. We can push back on this shit and we can end this crap. We don't have to go along with it like everybody else in other countries. God bless the people that are standing up over there. But we don't need to, we can't allow this to happen. We cannot. Anyway, Tony Arterburn, thoughts on all of this?
Well, on the surface, it's an absolute grift. And I would remind you of the reason that we had the 22nd Amendment was the 80th Congress. The 80th Congress, 1946 to, what was that, 46 to 48 is when they passed the 22nd Amendment, wasn't it, Don? That's in response post-World War II to ensure that there would never be another FDR. And George Washington set the precedence for 2 terms, and Washington hated it. I mean, he wanted to go home, and he didn't want to continue to be president. So he did 2 terms, and that was
Republicans, though, too, right? It was Republicans that wanted.
Yes, it was Republicans that that motion. And of course, the only other, in the 19th century, the only president who tried to do a third term was Grant, to my knowledge, and he got close to getting the Republican nomination again. But he did 2 terms and then tried again, but that failed, and that was just never codified. It was just always left open to you could run for a third term. Teddy Roosevelt served for McKinley for almost a full term, and then ran again on his own, and then left, and then came back and ran in the Bull Moose Party. But then his cousin FDR, Franklin Roosevelt, did 4 terms. Well, he was elected to a 4th term, and then he died, and Harry Truman took over. Let's set that aside, because that's the history, and they have the 22nd Amendment. And you're right. I mean, it's funny because I was reminded when I took government class in high school, the professor, the teacher had Bill Maher explain it. There's Bill Maher did that, taught the Constitution, if you can believe that. He was more libertarian then. That was interesting watching him read the Constitution to Steve Bannon. But forget about that. Trump's approval rate. I mean, if you want to talk about surface level politics, and maybe you're correct, Billy, maybe this is part of the pageant, is that we create these conditions where there's, maybe we just throw out the whole thing. It's just paper anyway at this point. I mean, we've bypassed the Constitution so many different ways. I mean, only Congress can coin money, and only Congress can declare war, and all these other things that we just ignore at this point. Or, with the J6 prisoners and other people that we ignore, the right to a speedy trial and other things that are afforded in the Constitution, or the right to face your accuser, all these things, right? We've thrown that out, so maybe they do bypass that. But I would remind you, just on the surface level, if you want to talk politics, and maybe that's not even real, but just like in the movie Nixon, Oliver Stone's Nixon, it's a great scene with Larry Hagman, who's playing this character called Jack, which is based off of the Hunt family. And he's sitting there in 1963, the day before the assassination, and they want him to run for office in 64. And he's like, what? Not against Kennedy. And they ask him, what about 68? And he said, 5 years in politics, that's an eternity. Well, guess what? 1 year in politics is an eternity. And his Trump's approval ratings almost dipping below 40%, which we're getting near
41 right now, or 40, right? Go ahead.
Yeah. And we haven't even begun to see this is tap dancing on the landmine. This is window dressing. That has nothing to do with what's going to be hard reality hitting the American people within 6 months to a year. When they're talking about a new financial crisis, you're just playing chicken with so many asymmetrical forces and centrifugal forces that economically. And I just see that as wiping out. A lot of these discussions will be moot.
Don Jeffries, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, well, I think, again, Billy asked her earlier, how could anybody still support Trump? Again, you got to realize that what makes Trump still get attention and still get support is the fact that the corruption is so overriding and systemic at all levels of our society, and no one is ever held accountable. So everything is incredibly bad. And when Trump will once in a while point out some element of it, he'll do it in his usual stupid style, but he will point it out. And nobody else in politics is doing that, really, that has his kind of platform. He's the designated opposition. He's just like Emmanuel Goldstein was in 1984, except for Emmanuel Goldstein was brilliant, and his opposition was documented. It was so great to read. But Trump obviously is not brilliant. He's doing it. They decided to do it in a completely different way. But I think, somebody mentioned in the chat that the third term thing, I think Trump is not only a grifter, which he obviously is, but I think that's part of the Trumpenstein project. I don't think there's any evidence that Trump did this kind of grifting before he entered politics. I mean, he was what he was. I mean, he's kind of a failed casino owner that was constantly declaring bankruptcy because it works for billionaires. It's a smart move. And he used it to his benefit. And he did what he did. He was born on third base and thought he hit a home run, like Gerald Saloni used to say. But there's no evidence of all this. I think they do this to troll people because they know how much it bothers almost anybody that, okay, let's sell a Trump Bible. Let's sell a Trump T-shirt or a Trump hat, new hat. He can't need the money. I think this is grifting, but it's part of the Trumpenstein Act. It infuriates the people who hate him, and there's millions of people that hate him. And the people that love him say that somehow think it's a win. It's great. Just like Trump has been able to convince his supporters that, but look how many times when he makes a speech now. I don't know if he's still doing it, but he was doing it. We won every battleground state. We won every swing state. Like, what does that matter to people? And he acts like that was an incredible accomplishment. And his people believe that. They think that's winning. Just like they think it's winning if he draws a certain number of people to his rallies. Remember, that's all he used to talk about. We drew, Joe Biden couldn't draw anybody. We drew like, okay, well, what does that matter? That doesn't do anything to address all the concerns people, but that's what he's been able to convert the anger out there of the awake people. Because again, you've got 70 million people who are awake to how bad things are, and they are bad as it can get. But Trump is the loyal opposition, the fake opposition, the alternative that we're being presented with. There is nobody else. They won't let you have anybody else. And so Trump is very careful, and he's enjoying this role. He's doing it now. It appears he might be going through. Billy was talking about maybe he's losing his mind. I just think this is part of the role, because he can appear lucid when he wants to be, and he says things that are so ridiculous now that, again, I just think it's part of the act. Like I said, we talked about, he's now saying he was I don't know why anybody took me seriously when I said I would end the Ukraine war the first day. I was obviously talking in jest. Oh yeah, of course. Well, why would we think you were being serious? You're joking. Why would you actually want to end a war or try to do that? I mean, you're joking. Of course, we should have realized that. But I mean, that's the kind of things. He's at that level now, and he's, he can say anything he wants to say. As he famously said, he could kill somebody on Fifth Avenue way back in the day, and he's right. Yeah. And because the most devoted, there's a lot of people that support him again because they don't see any other alternative, and the other side is so bad they're looking at him as a lesser form of evil. But there are people that have bought in totally to it, and that he can literally do. There are people that are giving him money. You really have to have bought in, and anybody that would want him for a third term, I mean, you could maybe make an argument to try to amend the Constitution, because they amended it to stop another Roosevelt, FDR. So you could do that, because, as Tony said, George Washington just kind of stepped down after 2 terms, but it wasn't written in the Constitution. Theoretically, you could serve as long as you wanted to. It wasn't until FDR came, and the Republicans, ironically, but as Chris Buchan pointed out in the chat room, this problem is that both sides are awful, and they want it. So like the left would have loved to have had Obama for a third term. They just didn't openly say it as much, but I'm sure they would. So it depends on what side, who you're rooting for, what caricature, that you're rooting for, what cartoon figure. But this is just more nonsense. And again, we're sitting here, and we just lost Virginia Jeffrey. The Epstein list will now go down the memory hole. You'll probably hear no more about it. And we're looking at, I don't know what happened to Elon Musk or Doge. That apparently I don't know if he's even there anymore. What happened to it? They say he was supposed to stay there long enough to audit, well, they went through one agency that I know of. I don't think they audited anything else. I mean, what happened to the Pentagon and the CIA and the Federal Reserve, especially? They did. So Musk is leaving now already. So I don't, none of it makes any, what is really happening? Who's been, as we said, Kash Patel is threatening to arrest everybody, but has anybody been prosecuted? Anybody with a name? No. It's before the show we were talking about, I guess, or maybe it was during the show, the 2-year-old illegal immigrant that was born here. They finally got somebody, and they shipped the 2-year-old off. So that's the kind of stuff they're doing. They're going after maybe citizens, and yet millions of illegals are still here. The mass deportation never happened. So it's just, this second administration started out, I thought, pretty good, at least with his executive orders, but since then it's all unraveled, and he's apparently becoming unraveled himself. So I think we all hope there's no third term, but this is what I've said when the Trumpenstein Project began. What happens after Trump? So maybe there won't be any after Trump, because they're just going to continue to parade him out there. I don't know, but it was mentioned about not having an election and declaring martial law, and I said that goes back to at least Bill Clinton. The conspiracy world. I mean, I don't know how many times I used to read and hear that, Bill Clinton, George Bush, whoever's Obama, now Trump, they're going to suspend, they're not going to have elections. They're not going to have declare martial law. It happens. And of course, it always happens. We always have a stupid fraudulent. Why wouldn't they hold elections? They control the process. So they're going to, it doesn't matter who. It's not like they're going to have, Huey Long coming in and running, and they can't stop people from voting for him. So I'm about ready to give up on politics. I don't know. The only reason I comment on it at all is because I am addicted to it, like sports. I'm still paying attention to the stupid draft, because I'm writing a book about sports. But I mean, I'm like a heroin addict on politics and sports. They're both absurd and corrupt, and no sane person should pay attention to it. But here am I doing it, and now writing a book about it. So I just look at this as a human interest story, and I'm guessing like everybody else what will happen next, but I don't know. All I know is that whatever happens, it won't be for the good of the people. And, you're not going to have anything happen. You're not going to get that $5,000 Doge check. What happened to that, by the way? The IRS is still going to exist. He's not going to make it so that people making $150,000 and less don't pay any taxes at all. All those things sounded great, didn't they? Hey, it sounds great, Trump, but that's the essence of Trumpenstein. He just walks around and just says stuff. And he says stuff to get a reaction. He trolls the people that hate him, and he gets the people that love him excited. Hey, did you hear what Trump said now? He might do this. He might do this. He says a lot of stuff. And ultimately nothing gets done except for apparently he's, in his great deportation program is apparently to rid the people of immigration lawyers and dangerous 2-year-olds and things like that. But alleged MS-13 gang members, but now they have an order from, I guess, the ICE or whoever it is who's finally doing something, but they're not doing the right thing. Apparently, they can go in people's residences and they don't even have to have a warrant if they suspect someone's a gang member, and this kind of thing we saw during W. Bush with if they think you're a terrorist member. So it's just, I don't see anything good that's happening there. I mean, the other side was horrible, and it wasn't like it was any better, but I'm still waiting for some of that winning.
All right. That was a lot. I took down some points so I wouldn't forget them. Right? Trump grift. We haven't seen anything before the presidency. That is categorically wrong. His entire life was a grift. Let's remember Trump University that he got sued over.
Well, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
He was. I think Don meant politically, like.
Well, he wasn't political, right? Or he would talk politically, but he wasn't involved in political life. So it's a different thing, but he's been grifting his entire life. There were people that he would contract out here to do building, wouldn't pay them. Trump University, there was one story that they were supposed to take pictures with him at the end of completing the course. And there was a cutout there when they went, and they paid a lot of money for it. So there's that. There's also this that we have queued up for you just in case. Hold on.
When it comes to great steaks, I've just raised the stakes. The Sharper Image is one of my favorite stores with fantastic products of all kinds. That's why I'm thrilled they agree with me. Trump steaks are the world's greatest steaks, and I mean that in every sense of the word. And
there's more. But, we'll play it in full tomorrow night. But, I mean, this is a constant. It was Trump water, and you could just say he was trying to make money, right? But, I mean, this is what he does. He's always done this. So it's not, it doesn't come as a surprise to me. Doge and audits. Doge never audited anything. They didn't audit USAID. They destroyed USAID. There wasn't a proper audit that went down. And again, they've never proven anything, or if they have proven or have saved any money, it's minuscule. It's not going to make a lick of difference. It never mattered. I don't know what's going to happen. What has to happen for people to realize this? You're not getting a $5,000 check, and if you don't get a $5,000, and if you do get a $5,000 check, it's going to come from the Federal Reserve. It's going to be made up money, that they're going to give you. It's not going to be based on savings because they can't do anything. And if there is any actual fraud back there, which I'm sure there is to a degree, but not to the degree that Elon Musk is saying, they are ineffective at finding it. Those are the proofs. Those are the facts of what's going on here. They've done nothing. So there goes Doge. Hold on, I had another one. Kash Patel. If Kash Patel prosecutes people, are we going to be happy just because he's prosecuting people? Who is he prosecuting and why? And where's the proof of what the prosecution is laid upon? That's what we need to be paying attention to. Kash Patel is one of the most unqualified, unhinged individuals to be in an important position in this administration, and that's saying a lot. All right, Kash Patel and what's this buffoon's name that he has with him? I forget the deputy commissioner. He was a podcaster, Bongino.
Don Bongino.
Oh my God! The dream team of nonsense there. But Kash Patel, they're going to prosecute people. They're going to do it. They have 4 years Who is he prosecuting and why? Is it because of an ideological difference, or was there something real that went down?
Well, Billy Ray, we have people like Hillary Clinton, who obviously, has a litany of crimes going back to the Watergate days, but we have a CIA memo from John Brennan himself that talks openly, and Obama was there, and I think Obama signed or said Obama was in the meeting, that Hillary has this idea that we're going to try to blame Russia for the election. I mean, it's documented from the CIA itself that Hillary Clinton thought up this absurd Russiagate nonsense. That's some kind of a crime.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead, buddy. Go ahead.
No, and in addition to the fact we know she destroyed her laptop with emails, or had her people destroy it with a sledgehammer and bleach. That's not a crime. So she'd be my first. I'd like to see her prosecuted for that, but that will never happen. If he prosecutes anybody, it will be people you've never heard of.
It'll be people you heard of. It'll be people you heard of. There's just probably no basis in it. I feel very, very sorry for Mark Milley. God bless. I hope it doesn't happen, but it's going to be things like that. With the Hillary Clinton situation, damn it, man, I lost my point. Oh yeah, you were talking about Russia. Given current events, you can make the argument that either Trump is a buffoon and can't handle foreign policy, or he's a Russian asset. Really, at this point, what are you going to say? I will debate anyone on this, because all of the information and all of the evidence is on my side at this point. He's no concessions by Russia at this point. He doesn't tariff Russia at all. He doesn't talk to Vladimir Putin anyway the way he talks to Zelensky. And that's just the surface level stuff. We can get into more. So there's
Ukraine is the one. What are they getting? $350 billion from Biden, and Trump has continued that.
Yeah.
Why would he give money to Ukraine if he's? It all comes from Hillary Clinton. And Hillary Clinton got the idea from the DNC emails that were leaked by Julian Assange, probably by Seth Rich, who I think they murdered for doing it. All that came from this fantasy came when Hillary Clinton had the idea, as documented in the CIA memo. Hey, let's turn this around. Let's not show it the emails, because she destroyed her laptop. And
there's almost as much evidence for that as there is for Donald Trump having a Russian code name, which has also been reported, and it's legit. He has a Russian code name. You can believe it if you want. I don't know if I believe it either, but it's out there.
I don't believe anything to do with Russia, because I know what it came from. And the thing was, all that came from the DNC's being exposed as stealing the nomination from Bernie Sanders, who, of course, now also believes in the Russiagate fantasy. The email that Assange is still exiled.
I don't know how much of a fantasy it is, but I don't want to get wrapped up in this debate. You want to join me tomorrow night? We can debate on it. I'll be more than happy to debate you on it. Regardless of that, I really don't know how much of we got to really look at the evidence and go from there. Don't let our biases get in the way. Okay. And I'm just like, wow, what the hell is going on right now? It's out there right now. We're living it. We're going to continue to live it. It's up to us to accept that reality or not. Also, what did I have here?
I also think that no matter the administration, look at operations under the Obama administration continuing. Even into the first Trump administration, because of the continuity of power. They had operations like Choke Point, going after lawful establishments that happened to sell firearms and seizing their bank accounts just because they could. And Operation Choke Point 2.0, where they went after all the crypto assets of people. They had the IRS going after any political organization that had the word patriot in it, or Tea Party, or anything like that, squelching free speech. This was been done. Even going back, we talked about FDR today. He imprisoned and interned the Japanese during World War II. And
the Germans and the Italians
and the Germans and you had the Alien Sedition Act under Woodrow Wilson, right, Don? This
Adams, and then Wilson through the World War I prisoners in jail.
Act. It was the Espionage Act under Wilson, and Alien Sedition under Adams. Yes.
And they got the precedent from Lincoln.
What does that prove? How productive is this to have this discussion about how corrupt the government has been in the past and how they've done things in the past? This is what the alternative media does, and this is what the right does, and this is what the left does, and we need to get away from it altogether, because we're pointing fingers. Oh, but look, Trump is doing all this illegal shit. Oh, but look at what happened at X time with whatever they did. Yeah,
what Trump's illegal. This
we know
pales in comparison.
We know they imprisoned Chinese people and put them in Japanese people, put them in concentration camps. We know all of this, right? That we know what they did to Italians. Trump is doing it right now. Trump is doing all these things right now and pointing at these people, right? And saying, oh, but look at what the Democrats did. Doesn't get us anywhere. It just solidifies a divide. What we need
is Democrats and Republicans both, but I mean,
Nixon had an enemy
right now. He's at 40% right now, and I think that's astronomically high considering what's going on, right? Look at what he is doing and how he is adversely affecting all of us. Well, maybe not all of us, right? If you're at a certain percentage, fine. If you're part of the elite, you're making a lot of money and you're very happy. Everybody else is getting screwed. So instead of pointing fingers at, oh, look at the Democrats. Oh, but Obama. Oh, but Obama's not in office. Joe Biden is not in office. Don't continue to.
But the point is, they were never held accountable. So the idea that people are upset. What would you prosecute Trump for at this point? What would you prosecute him for?
What he hasn't overstepped and defied the courts on at least 2 different occasions.
Abraham Lincoln threw 10,000 or more people in prison for no reason and suspended the writ of habeas corpus.
In recent times, with all these presidents that we talk about, nobody has ever pushed it as far as Donald Trump is pushing it. No one. He has in 3 months destroyed the American economy. How do you manage to do that? It's self-inflicted. No, that wasn't. You can't blame that on Biden. You know what happened here. We're living in reality.
It's not a crime. He's attempting to reenact terror. It's a good idea, but he's doing it the wrong way.
Deporting American citizens to seek out is a crime. Deporting American citizens to seek out is a crime. Not defying the courts is a crime. Trying to stay in office when you were supposed to be gone is a crime. There's a lot of crimes this man has committed. And that takes me back to another point. Tony, respectfully, you said it was a moot point to think that in 4 years we'd be talking about this guy staying for a 3rd term. He's not going to want to leave. He already proved it before. He's not going to want to leave. So whether the people are for it or against it,
exactly,
he's not going to want to leave.
I think that you're talking about the political landscape, the financial landscape, economically, socially. This is the acceleration point. History is happening, unfolding rapidly right now. We're at the tail end of the 4th turning. Who knows? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, I guess, if they wanted to try to do some maneuver, because is anything real? I guess what Don and I are saying is proportionality. It doesn't make me a fan of any of this. I'm just asking, taking a step back, looking at the big picture. We're post-Constitution America after Abraham Lincoln. We really are. I mean, Don can chime in on that. I think I just look at it a little differently. It doesn't even register on my radar most of the time because I'm looking at geopolitics. I'm looking at the financial system. I'm looking at stuff that really politics just is a game. I see the same thing with somebody wearing a Dallas Cowboys t-shirt as a MAGA hat. It's the same thing to me at this point. I'm with Don. I'm losing interest. I'm not covering for any of this. And a lot of that stuff is, you are right. If you're the deportation of American citizens, all that, this is stuff we can agree on. But I don't think it's anything really truly new under the sun is all I was saying.
Absolutely, it is. It is. I've been alive for 40 years, 45 years on this planet.
We're the same age.
Right. I've never seen anything like this from any American president in my lifetime. We can go back and talk about how Abraham Lincoln might have done things to bypass the Constitution. This level, even if Abraham Lincoln did do it, even not worse, even if Abraham Lincoln did do it, other presidents that came after him came back to normalcy for a bit. All right. And everybody has something. We can nitpick. We can start nitpicking. But to do what Donald Trump has done in 3 months and blatantly disregard the rule of law, this can't be debated. This is not buying into reality at this point.
His deportation plan is the rule of law if he did it the right way. Exactly, but again, he's an actor. He is, because he's Trumpenstein. He's an actor. Of course, he's going to do these things. That's what they want him to do. But the idea that
both ways done. It's not as bad as before, but he's Trumpenstein. So we're covering up for him by calling him Trumpenstein. But he's not doing it the right way. He's overstepping his boundaries. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I look back to George W. Bush. He literally introduced under his administration the blueprints and framework for the New World Order. I mean, he gave us the Patriot Act, which superseded it overturned the rule of law going back to the Magna Carta. I mean, we defiled a civilization. 25 million Iraqis were complete. I mean, the chaos that ensued, millions of deaths. I'm just not covering up for Trump, but I think just looking at this big picture, yeah, there's some stuff going on that's alarming. I just want to buttress that to, I mean, the reality post September 11th that was gone, the detention under the Obama administration, and it's in Don's book, Hidden History. He says, I'm really good at killing people. That's what Obama said. He would drone people. They droned American citizens,
right?
Without due process, without a trial. They just murdered them.
But where are we getting with this, Tony? Like you're pointing out facts that we already all know. Where are we getting with this? Was Obama in office now? It's Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is doing all of those things, and he has 4 years to go. Who knows what else we will see from him? You know,
Trump is.
I just don't understand why the pointing of the fingers. Why do we need to justify? Oh, but the other side did this too. No, they're all doing it. They've all done it, and Donald Trump is doing it worse at this point than anybody in my lifetime.
This is like going into a company.
Abraham Lincoln. I don't know what to say.
Well, this is like going into a company that has 150 years worth of massive corruption, including killing. Bill Clinton killed a bunch of American citizens at Waco. Trump hasn't done that yet. All these terrible things.
Give him the opportunity.
And I'll be the first one to criticize, but none of them were ever punished for anything. In fact, they're heralded. In fact, the worst presidents are considered the greatest. Lincoln, FDR, Wilson, who committed the greatest crimes. And then going into this company, and finally this new guy comes along who's a buffoon, a braggart, and is ridiculous, grabs women or whatever, not obnoxious character, and suddenly deciding this guy who has no body count. Trump has I looked for body counts. I cannot find a body count for this guy. He's the first one since Jimmy Carter didn't have one. That says something good about him. But, and then suddenly deciding we're finally going to do something, crack down on this 150 plus years of corruption. We're going to ignore everything that ever happened before. And we're going to have a lot of these people like Obama and W. Bush. They got great reputations now. But we're going to go after this buffoon. And we're going to have a big caricature of him and a giant pinata, make sure he has a tiny penis, because we have to make sure we say that. Can't have a thing without saying that. And I just think it's ridiculous because it's not real corruption. It's buffoonery. Damn. And it's an actor. It's not scratching the surface of what's there, the corruption that he claims he's trying to do something about, and we know he's not. But that's the problem, is that the corruption will win. Because
Isn't
Trump
that corruption in itself? That what you just mentioned is corrupt. Regardless of this, we're not going to come to a point where we agree on this. I think it's denying reality quite personally, but maybe it's TDS.
I don't know.
I didn't take my shot. My shot that RFK his wife was promoting for people that had the TDS. You take the shot and you're good. I forgot what it was called. But maybe I didn't take my shot. Maybe that's what it is. I am living in this reality. I understand what's going on, and I've never, ever seen it in my 45 years half as bad as it is right now. And Guard Goldsmith said something. I was on last Sunday, and he said something. He was like, "You can't compare Biden to Trump. Trump has been way worse than anything that Biden's done," and it made me feel so good because I'm like, finally, I am not alone here, and Guard would most likely side with you guys on a lot of things, but to hear Guard say that, I was like, oh my God, thank you. Somebody is seeing it my way here. We are in deep trouble. We can continue to try to justify this, and that's I don't know. Everybody has different viewpoints, and maybe we're screwed. I don't know. I hope not, But at the end of the day, we're just not going to agree on this because from what I've seen in the evidence in these 3 months, I've never seen anybody do anything like that. And it's like he's going after corruption, but not really because he's Trumpenstein. Oh, that seems very corrupt to me. He's not corrupt, but he's going after corruption that's not really there, but he's acting like he is, and he's doing nothing about it. Very corrupt. in itself, that argument. But we can.
Well, yeah, it is. But I would argue that again, he's not doing this himself. He was hired for this role. I don't think he has any principles at all. I don't know what Donald Trump's principles really are. He just states these things because that's what his role required him to do. He tapped into some of the stuff that people have seen for a long time, and this terrible things and people not being held accountable, the deep state draining the swamp, all that stuff that we all can see. And that was part of his role. And obviously, the fact he hasn't done anything about it, yeah, I don't know what kind of crime you would for breaking his promise and not doing what he said. Yeah, he obviously disillusioned people, whether that's criminal, I don't know. Yeah, I'd like to see the Trumpenstein project exposed for what it is, but it just, again, it doesn't deny the fact that this horrible situation is there. We have corruption at every level. We can't even vote out the school boards. My school board voted 16-0, Fairfax County, and they were at the epicenter of this to continue gender studies after Trump wrote an executive order saying schools can't do DEI anymore. They're just ignoring it. All of them are. So I don't know. Maybe that they don't have any power. Maybe his what he signs has no power at all. But that's what I'm saying is that corruption is from top to bottom, and millions of us can see it. And this guy is the buffoon they've put out there he's our spokesman. And most of us know he's a joke. But, the idea that this is the guy, because if you go after him, you go after what he represents, even though what he symbolizes. He symbolizes the opposition to the so-called D-states, to the swamp, to the establishment. We know he's not, but that's when you do that, what does it do? It says, well, okay, maybe if a real person comes along and opposes all this, we've already established. Look what happened with Trump. You saw how that worked. He was worse than any of them. So I just don't buy that, because I think that he's mostly a buffoon. His great crimes. I don't know what his great crimes. Yet what he's doing with immigration, it's really hard to figure what he's doing at this point. Because who is he? Yes, to whoever. If he's deporting people who shouldn't be deported, obviously that's wrong. But I don't know that Trump knows what he's doing. I think he just unleashes it and he lets his people do it. But bottom line is the problem isn't getting solved.
There you have it. Tony Arterburn, closing thoughts, and we're getting up out of here, buddy.
I just want to say, just for the record, 2020 was the last. I gave up the ghost in 2020 for all partisanship in politics. Can I just say, for the record, I care not who's president. I don't care who's in office. I don't care which party's the majority. I don't care. I don't care. And I guess that part of me, it's starting to show up in my shows. I can talk about history and I can talk about stuff, but I'm so disinterested, and maybe that's a fault of mine. I'm focused on other things. And Cal Coolidge said the business of America is business. I don't know. I'm more as an entrepreneur, as somebody that's my passion. And maybe I'm being myopic at this point. I used to care about politics, but it's become so. It's such a diversion from what I think is something that you can actually make a difference in. So just for the record, in case, because we're talking about state, and if I'm trying to put proportionality in the conversation, it doesn't mean I support this administration, nor would I support anything like a third term or anything like that. I mean, I already see the flaws in all of this. I already see that. I'm just trying to bring that to the conversation, because I can buttress this up against a litany of the destruction of our Constitution, and it makes me sad. I mean, I don't. Doesn't mean I support any of this, or if you obviously know that I will oppose any illegal and unconstitutional actions. I mean, look at what we're doing in Yemen. I mean, it's that you talk about prosecuting. We're getting close to high crimes and misdemeanors and treason. And talking about subverting the will of the people and Congress, for bypassing Congress when it comes to military action and things like that. So, just for the record,
in the absence of time, I will fall back. Tony, I invite you to come on the show and we could talk about proportionality, because I think I'm talking about proportionality too. And in 3 months, I think the proportion is ridiculous what this guy has done to everybody in my lifetime. So I'd love for you to come on and have a discussion about it. if anybody has ever followed anything I've ever done, you know I don't give a damn about anybody who's in office, and I've never involved myself in the process for the most part. And to be completely and totally honest with you, I feel bad about not being in the process at this point, because it let this idiot get into office. Not that me was going to make a change, and I live here in New York, so I mean he won. I mean he lost New York handedly, right? But I feel bad, and I will never not vote again. Ever. I will vote in every election that I can possibly vote in. All right. Just because. Even if it's a thing, we are looking at the methodical destruction of the United States of America. Say that about Obama or anybody else. I don't think you can. But let's do it. I invite both of you at separate times to come down to the show on Sunday, and we can hash this out and talk about it. Whatever issues that we disagree with between both of us, and that's different with each of us.
I don't think we disagree on anywhere.
No, the proportionality of it, I think we disagree on that, Tony. But with Don, there's a little bit more disagreements that I would like to flesh out, and we can do it live. That's it. But we are in a serious. We have a serious problem here, and being in the alt media, we tend to make excuses for some of this shit, and I can't do that anymore. I just can't, and maybe I'm wrong. And I'd love for you to show me how I am. And then I'll quickly come in here and say, hey, I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll be like, hey, I'm wrong, and go right about our business and try to correct things and do it the right way. But what I've seen now, never seen it. So all my Trump derangement people, what is up? How are you? Greetings from BRV in the Bronx. We love you guys. Let's do it. Let's have more. Let's reject the vaccination. Let's reject the inoculation of Trump derangement syndrome. That term itself is weaponized just like conspiracy theory is. It shields criticism of an obvious rotting piece of crap and a regime that's looking to destroy this country. So what's up? Let's embrace it. Let's get up out of here. Tony Arterburn, the wisest of all the wolves. Tell the people where they can find you, sir.
You can go, I changed it. You can go to tony.gold if you can't type in my last name. So TONY.gold. You spell it backwards. It's why not. Okay. Tony. Go to tony.gold.
Fantastic. Don Jeffries, how are you, sir? Tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, Substack is the only place I'm not being shadow banned. I'm writing something about Virginia Jeffrey now. I'll publish it today or tomorrow. It's Donald Jeffries at Substack.com. I protest just like my live streaming show here every Friday on the same fine, whatever we have left, platforms, I guess, Rumble and here, and or down to it. But then hopefully soon I'll be doing it on Substack if I get around to setting Tony up with it. But and my books are out there. American Memory Hole is the latest one, and a lot of this stuff we talked about today is in that book.
Fantastic. My name is Billy Ray Valentine, theinfinitefringe.podbeam.com, and of course, America Unplugged, 12 p.m. Eastern every Saturday on X. Everybody that's on X, man, thank you, man. You guys have allowed us to continue, right? After we've been done with Rockfin, you guys showed up over there, man. On Tony's X, what's going on? On Don's X, what's up, guys? I'm gonna give Elon Musk some of my money against my better principles. And do that. And like I said, we could be banned from X at any moment in time. So go follow the podcast, AmericaUnplugged.com, AmericaUnpluggedRadio.com, and America Unplugged, anywhere you can find the best and the finest of podcasts. Go find it there. Everybody on Don Jeffries' YouTube channel, what's going on? How are you? We got a total of 231 strong right now. We appreciate each and every one of you. Whether you agree or disagree, we appreciate you being here and being open to the conversation and listening to what's going on. My dude, Twisted Pistol, how are you? I am also going to be live 7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night on Ground Zero Radio, Ground Zero Plus. I will be live there, and I'm going to be live on Tony's X, maybe. I'm not sure. I think Tony has something going on. I heard in one of his shows that he had something going on.
Just pre-recording, so you can use the X.
All right, there you go. So I can use the X, he says.
Absolutely. Use my X.
I'll be live on Tony's X. And I gave you a huge shout out last week for allowing, I don't know if you heard it. It was on the show. Listen to the last 10 minutes. You don't have to listen to the whole show, even though it was riveting, by the way. You should listen to it because it's very entertaining. But I gave you a huge shout out because you allow me to stream on your X, regardless of my thoughts. And I've told Tony many times, I'm like, hey, Tone, I know that I'm going to get on there and say some shit that you disagree with. I know I'm going to get on there and say some shit that you probably think is outlandish. But and I want to. I have a lot of respect for Tony. I have a lot of love for Tony. You know, he's a really good dude. And the last thing I want to do is get in the way of it. So I tell him, and Tony's always like, "I don't care, man. I want you. It's an honor. It's a privilege." It's literally what he says. Literally what he says. So thank you, and everybody always shows up on Sunday night on Tony's X. So I appreciate you guys that show up. Love it. So that's it, guys. Everybody in the chat, what's up? I see Liz, the Iron Maiden. Greetings to you. How are you? She says she disagrees with me on some stuff. Oh, man. Well, join the club, Liz. Twisted Pistol, my guy. What's going on? Bernays Sauce, how you doing? It's good to see you, buddy. We got Chris Buckham, always in that house. You know, got to give him some props. Who else we got over there? Harp 666. What's up, Harps? Australia doesn't exist. Ron Helton, what is going on? How are you? There's a couple more, man. Kat Goya, what's going on? She left already. She got tired of hearing me. She does that from time to time. It's okay. Naomi, what is it? Spirited Puppy, what's going on? And I lost everybody else, but anybody that was there, what's up? So, Don, do you see anybody that we need to shout out before we leave?
Yeah,
Karen, what's going on? Go ahead.
Karen Carpenter.
We gotta put on some there. Everybody, this is us.
Oh yeah, this is cool. Not cool.
House Blues made this possible, and if you'll notice, I'm the only one with headphones on for whatever reason. Okay, but I'm rocking those khaki shorts. Something you'll never see me in, but I'm rocking them.
Fantastic.
With my long sleeve shirt.
Rocky USA, what's going on? How you doing? Good to see you. Karen Carpenter, I got to respond to you. How are you doing? Good to see you as always. Don, what you got?
Yeah, great. A grip it with Deborah Wheeler, of course, always here. Yeah, Twisted Pistol. I do. I don't know. He says you can find me at a local Nazi rally, even though I hate them. And he always says he's joking. I don't know, man. Is there a local Nazi rally? I don't know.
Call your local FBI.
Hoping to spend. Or my buddy RB Ham, who's running for office up in Canada. They have an actual populist party up there that we need here that we don't have in America. Kiana Kuma. I probably missed somebody I know. Oh, Jackson T. Barrett. Jackson T. Barrett says that we don't have anything to worry about because he said whatever Trump is doing is going to lead to my year jubilee that I've been talking about. It's 2,000 years old. Trump's going to declare a year jubilee. I think we'll all support that. That would be wonderful.
I'll come on here and say that was dope.
Yeah, of course. Right now, man. Let's see. Right now, man. Let's see what else. I think. Our Yeats. I can't pronounce this. It's Trey J. And Duke Valentino kind of keeps Duke. He always wants us to talk about Ireland. I don't know, man. I know it's bad there, but we're discussing how bad it is in this country. So that's about it. I think I didn't miss anybody. I don't think there's a lot of people there. Good to see you all here.
All right, fantastic. Let's get up out of here. Tony, play us out, or if we have music, I don't know.
Oh, we got it.
All right,
I'll play.
Take it easy, guys. Be good.